All right. So yeah, we're going to be having Dewalt on the left, bottom left side, going for actually a Wasp Rush, it looks like.
Yeah.
Did not, actually, no, he did expand, though.
Post-expand Wasp Rush.
Yep.
Can we get the deck up again real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, and it's going to be a Wasp Hornet. Wasp Hornet's actually looked pretty strong here, especially if against somebody who's also just going Wasps. Theory's going for what looks, at least at the start, is more of a conservative opener, using Blinks. We see this position with the Blinks a lot of times, kind of in between the main and the second base. Dewalt's going to swing through again. And this is very standard now. Third base always going to the Wasp player early on. This reminds me a lot of how, you see like some of these games versus Zergs where you're like Protoss and you're just kind of staying back and trying to hold stuff off. Oh, is it say StarCraft in the game? Thank you, Chat. I can change that. I'll fix that on my phone.
Excellent. We're going to be having a third base coming down for Theory as well, as he's going to have to, again, just play a little bit defensive, going for the Blink opener. It's just kind of how it works. Wasps are super fast. They can get everywhere really quickly and then just kind of be really a huge nuisance here. So he's going to be going into Stingers and Butterflies for Dewalt as well. We have no tech so far for Theory, so we're going to see what his decision is to go for the counter, but I would not be surprised if we're going to be getting some Stingers out here quite quickly here for Dewalt. It's a pretty standard composition overall to try and really bust down a player trying to sit back. And we're going to be having just an attack into the natural here, as Theory was a little bit out of position with the most of his army, just leaving a few of them back home here. And he's going to be able to wipe the entire mineral line here for Theory, and even going into the main base here to kill off those workers. This is looking a bit risky for Theory.
Yeah, well, keep in mind there will be a counterpunch that could probably come from here, but what Dewalt's doing is he's basically hurling these Wasps over into this area, taking out worker after worker after worker. Now he's going to be able to hit the third, and remember, these are Blinks. They're not recalls. They're not able to just kind of relocate easily, and that's what Dewalt is exploiting. Now, the issue with the Blinks is that they are overall stronger than Wasps, but you can see the dilemma that we're seeing Theory face here is that he doesn't really have any counterplay, right? He's basically playing cleanup after cleanup, and instead really now limping through this game with barely any workers, even losing some of the main. The natural's been wiped out. The third has taken some hits as well.
We do have some Mammoths out as well now for Theory, so it's going to be a little bit harder for Dewalt to just punch right on through, as they do take less damage. Oh, it does actually show. Cool. I can even hover over it even here. Sick. So yeah, it does. They don't really do anything special versus each other, so it's not really going to be like any team is just destroying the other composition super quickly or anything. But having those out is going to help Theory be really beefy, so it's going to be really important for that. Looks like Dewalt wants to split some of his units up. Nice positioning for one of these Blinks from Theory to be able to catch this. However, we're going to still have the jump.
Yeah, we're going to have a dive come in right over here. Some of the Mammoths in the front are going to be wiped out. Others in the back are going to be covered very well by those Blinks, and a confident Theory dives in, completely wiping this out. The counter comes in. It does kill some workers, but was that too much of a blow to the critical mass that we have here for Dewalt? Dewalt's got, even though it's versus Blinks, I mean, when you get Wasp Stinger, this is truly a more nimble army. But I think if Dewalt is going to lose this game, it's going to come down to that last attack we saw. He's going to try to push in further. Some of these Mammoths tanking pretty nicely. The Blinks come in to punish as the retreat occurs.
Yeah, it looks like the defense is pretty solid here from Theory. The Mammoth's actually doing very good work to not get killed off. There's really just no bonus damage versus them in this army for Dewalt. So this is, well, actually, maybe we're stepping over a little bit too much, but it looks like the Mammoths are still just not dying very quickly whatsoever. The Stingers getting killed off.
This is a fight I'm not quite used to seeing, which is Mammoths and Stingers engaging each other. It seems like Theory barely has enough. Remember that Dewalt has not really lost a worker this entire game, so he can try to muster up a little bit more. Is it going to be an attack on the workers, or is it going to be a dive onto the expansion structure? Butterflies come into play. I actually didn't even notice that he attacked up there. But this is going to be driven away. We only have one Butterfly left over, some Hornets here. Is this going to be the moment that Dewalt has to tap out, or can he finally fight back and push this away?
Yeah, I mean, these Mammoths are really just not dying. It's getting really difficult for Dewalt to actually hold on any longer. This third base is surely going to get killed off pretty soon. The workers are all dead pretty much, and we just basically see scraps running in here for Dewalt every second, and there's the first game tap out there. So Theory will be going up 1-0 in the first series here.
Great game, actually. I really I like the start from Dewalt a lot. it doesn't seem like it's very easy for the Blink player to like cover everything and be safe. And it seems almost like Dewalt may have had a layup to win it, but when he took his opportunity or his perceived opportunity and actually attacked in, that was the overextension. Wasp, Stinger, going to be a lot more fluid positionally. But when it comes to head-to-head fights, you got to be very, very careful. It's definitely one where he committed in a situation where he should have just backed off. So this is a best of 5. We're going to be going into game 2 in a second here. And I got to say, just a great match 1 to start things off. Dewalt looking very good like we expected.
Yeah, I think just the overextension, like you said, at the third base was a little bit not really what Dewalt wanted, I guess. Maybe I think he should have maybe just let the Wasps that were going into the second base do a little bit more by themselves and maybe pull Theory back a little bit instead of fully engaging in the front. I think maybe he just thought that he had the win.
I think that's exactly what happened.
He just assumed that the Stingers would do much better against the Mammoths than they actually did, but yeah. We'll see if there's any deck changes or anything going into game number 2.
Okay, into game 2 we go. Oh yeah, can you just update the score? Sorry about that. So it's going to be Wasps again here with Dewalt in the bottom left, and it's actually one base play. But I don't believe we have tech coming.
It's also Wasps from Theory as well this game, so we did switch it up. So they're both kind of playing expansion chicken here, it looks like. So they're not quite sure which one is going to be going for what, as they're just kind of feeling each other out and then realizing it's not going to be a one base all in. They scout each other and will just drop down their expansion. So a nice little chicken game to start off.
Yeah, by the way, chat, thank you for reminding me to change the game to Battle Aces. We had some other stuff we had to set up here. If there's anything else that's wrong with the stream, you can just post in chat and we'll fix it, probably in between games. So it's going to be Theory with the first third base. I was, before that happened, about to say, who actually takes a third here? Can you take a third in Wasp versus Wasp? Now, Dewalt is not trying to match this. He's teching, and he's got one of these dual Starforge techs. Is it called the Starforge, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Starforge techs, where he can get both butterflies and stingers. So, there's 2 ways that this can really go. Do you want to try to fight this with air? How are you going to deal with this? He does have, are those Hunter Blinks?
Yeah, Theory's got Blink Hunters, and then we got Hornets coming out from Dewalt. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the only way he's going to be able to fight that.
Dewalt's trying to get into this natural and also to the main base just to get a little bit of damage done, but Theory, pretty on top of it, will be able to get on and just deny these. But then that does leave the third base open for a little bit here. I mean, Wasps do take quite a while to actually kill off bases, so it's not going to be a big threat, but Dewalt just trying to find any little opening to punish Theory wherever he can. Theory, obviously, just someone very experienced in Battle Aces, very good at keeping himself pretty secure no matter where it is. So it's going to be a bit difficult to actually break him thin.
Now, the longer that Theory doesn't have... the longer Dewalt does not have a third base, the worse it's going to be. But he's diving on this third, and interestingly, Theory's actually not running back home to protect it. There's enough Wasps here to clear up the natural. What about the main, though? This could be a situation where, almost all of the workers are going to be killed off, and it's going to just accelerate. I mean, we're seeing a big dive over here onto the natural. By the way, the third for Theory was destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, he's also just going straight into the main, trying to kill all of the workers. He's basically getting every single one. He's suiciding everything for it, but then back over in his main base, his tech has come up now, so he's got Stingers on the defensive as well. And they're not actually getting touched. Focus fire coming in from Theory to snipe down the Stingers of his opponent, and will be able to kill them off. He's killed off the army. He's saved his main income set, but his opponent still does have an expansion. So this is going to get really awkward here for Theory, as he's going to have to make a couple decisions on what he actually wants to do. Is he going to just go for the straight all-in counter, or does he need to try and slowly get his own bases back up? For now, it looks like he's going for the counter.
Yeah, neither side with a lot of workers here. Most of the natural workers are still there for Dewalt. I think he has 1 worker inside of his main right now. Remember, the Theory is on 1 base. So if Dewalt can just stabilize here, he will have a much, much better looking income. And that'll make it hard for Theory to even get his natural expansion up again.
Oh, and now we have the jump coming in from Dewalt as we're catching everything here. We had a couple butterflies in the army for Theory, hoping that would maybe catch Dewalt off guard, but there are enough Hornets ready, and we're getting a chase. 2 base saturation is back as all the workers have respawned for Dewalt. And he's going to be able to snowball this, I think, across the map. There's only a few more Stingers with just barely any hit points left. As the reinforcements do kind of come together here for Theory, he's going to push Dewalt back for now, but I think Dewalt just only needs to defend, and he's going to be totally fine.
Yeah, there's really no pressure on Dewalt to do anything other than, yeah, all right, he beat me too. I was going to say, there's no pressure for Dewalt to do really anything other than not die, because he's going to have a better score when the 10 minutes are up, and it's this button right over here.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, that was close. Yeah, great game. Really different looking game than a lot of the ones we've casted, or at least for me that I've played. Dewalt going with this composition, Wasps, Stingers, and Hornets on the ground. And so one of the things I'm noticing with this comp is you can't really retreat. Now, that being said, I'm sorry, your opponent can't really retreat is what I meant to say.
Yes,
you can absolutely retreat. But if your opponent starts to lose a fight and run away, everything's just going to die. These are all the fastest units in the game.
Yeah, it's like literally the fastest units. Like nothing outpaces anything in this game. So yeah, it's very difficult to actually run back. And sorry, I'm getting players ready as well. It's very difficult to just do a defensive retreat. You get snowballed on pretty quickly overall with this composition. So if you do kind of, lose a fight, then you have to be making sure that your next decisions are very crisp. Otherwise, you can just easily lose the game afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty rough. I'm really excited to see that Dewalt can actually hang here. I was worried this might just be like a total blowout. For those of you guys who are joining us, it's Dewalt versus Theory, tied up 1-1. Dewalt is the best player, or at least top 2, top 3 StarCraft 1 player outside of Korea, and has beaten. I've seen him beat every StarCraft 1 pro, like from ASL. So I mean, he's a real scary guy. Theory, probably top 2, top 3 Stormgate right now. Excellent StarCraft 2 player. This is already just a great match to start things off, and a very different looking game here as well. It's Gunbots to start this off. It's Theory with Wasps. Theory went for the aggression. Gunbots, you got to be careful because they can, in certain situations, eke out way more damage if you mess up and engage.
Yeah, Gunbots can be very, very punishing, and I think versus the Wasps, it could be pretty decent because you do have the extra move speed with the overclock as well, so it makes it so it's a little bit difficult to actually get surrounded. Theory is going to try to poke in here, do whatever he can to find whatever damage potentially, but he's also maybe trying to actually bait the overclocks because you only do have 3 at a time. You have to wait for the cooldown to come back up to get more charges of them. So if he can bait out enough overclocks early, then there's an opportunity for Theory to potentially get a jump on the actual army.
Okay. He is continuing to power up on 2 bases. We do have tech into King Crabs and Destroyers. This is a comp I actually use quite a bit.
I do as well. They're so fun.
It's so good. It's so strong. It's going to be Mammoth Dragonfly down here for Dewalt. So he really does like to go for that kind of dual Starforge comp where it could be ground, it could be air, kind of keeps the opponent guessing where, some of these techs straight into ground play, like King Crab and Destroyer, it's fairly obvious how it's going to operate and what should be coming. Big surround from Theory.
But there is the reinforcements coming out from Dewalt on the bottom side, but that does mean he is a bit exposed on the bottom, so his main base is also going to get jumped a bit here, but there is plenty of reinforcements coming out. A couple of Wasps also sneaking into the natural here. We'll be able to get on top of these workers, but I think the damage overall is actually not too bad here for Dewalt. He's going to be able to clear all of these up, and now he's got a huge gunbot force threatening this third base. We do have to get the Destroyers out and the King Crabs from Theory to be able to defend against this. And still with good micro, though, I feel like Dewalt should be able to pressure this for a decent bit. Yeah,
the thing is you can basically play keep away from the King Crab. I mean, it's very, very similar to Stutter Step microing with Stiv Marines. There's a point where you're going to absolutely get nothing done if you're going to try to dive into that. And so I think a lot of this game is going to be hinged on if Theory can keep the space alive. Dewalt does not have a third. He does have Dragonflies. I'd be curious if he wants to fly that over into these natural and try to kill workers there. There is a King Crab run-by the way.
And some Wasps
and some Wasps. Now, King Crabs, I think they 2-shot workers?
I can't even remember anymore. I use them all the time. I think it's 3, actually.
Yeah, 3-shot now. Okay.
Still very good.
Yeah.
Dragonfly is going on the other side as well, being able to kill off workers of Theory. It's an absolute bloodbath here in terms of the workers. Everything getting suicided on the left to be able to get this damage, and the Dragonflies will stay alive for now and also force out some Blink Hunters, which generally is not something you really want to be making, because obviously the anti-air unit in Battle Aces is essentially that. It's just an anti-air unit. They're pretty useless in an actual stand-up ground fight, so to force those back, that's not any of the gas resource used on any extra crabs or destroyers. So it's going to be a little awkward here for Theory, but he's still keeping this third base up pretty heavily.
Destroyers wreck mammoths, right?
Yeah, they do pretty good.
They're pretty good. Yeah, okay.
I mean, we're going to have the engagement here. We're going to try to get on top of absolutely everything is Theory. He's trying to get the surround, but the stutter step micro pretty good out of Dewalt, and the things are thinning out. All of the wasps getting killed off. The destroyer's also getting choked up by his own units, and now he's going to allow it to get jumped on. This is looking terrible for Theory.
Yeah, this is looking rough. Right as these workers are about to spawn, it looks like this structure is about to be wiped out. So basically no resources gathered here. At the third, it falls as Theory collapses back into an even more defensive position. I'm dying as I cast this game. Excuse me.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, we got like basically nothing here for Theory. He's got a couple of King Crabs, which I guess are decent against the gunbots if they can actually get on top. It actually looks like the overclocks are gone. They have been expent here. One finally does come back up again, so it's going to allow him to get away from those King Crabs. It was getting a little bit risky there with the King Crabs getting some shots off, but the Mammoth's now in front, soaking up that damage. There's only a few destroyers left, so they're not actually able to peel through these Mammoths quick enough. We even get a target fire on one of them as well. This is only going to be a slow burn, I think, from Theory as he tries to muster up some sort of defense.
Yeah, he could basically just rally over here, and there's no way to take a third base. You kind of lock them out of that position. Reinforcing units would just kill it, or you could just collapse back and kill it yourself. And I don't even know if you want to take a fourth base here or not. I almost think you just want to like lean into what you've got and kind of lock the game up here.
Yeah,
we're already halfway through. It's about 4 minutes and 50 seconds left.
Oh, we're going for the surround as well. We got the stuff down here, but we have the top side push coming in at the same exact time. Theory has nothing to be able to deal with these pushes. Sure, this bottom side is going to get thinned out, but it's just going to get reinforced. And that's a GG. We got Dewalt coming up 2-1 so far in the series.
Kind of crazy, man.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Looking back at that game, I mean, there were these moments it seemed like Theory might be able to take it and push out, but Dewalt was just pretty smart, pretty patient. A very different comp, by the way, gunbots.
Yep.
I honestly find, like, if I'm using gunbots, it's hard for me to actually switch in between a different Tier 1 comp because the way you approach it is so specific.
Sure.
You know, and trying to stem and run around the map. But Dewalt, you know, with a very different style here. Currently up 2-1. And we're going to be going into Game 4 here in a second. If Dewalt can take this, he is going to be moving on into the round of 4. If Theory takes this, we will be fortunate enough to actually have a Game 5 here. We're just letting the players select their decks. And, I mean, it's going to be kind of crazy if Dewalt actually takes this.
Yeah, I was not really expecting him to actually take the whole series against Theory. I honestly would have thought that Theory would just be overall favored. But
yeah,
I mean, he's doing pretty good.
I thought Dewalt would be like pretty good, but it's already looking like he might be able to take this.
He's going to win the whole tournament.
He's going to win. He's going to become the world champion. This all happened here. It all started here on our stream. We're going to hop into this and get the score updated. It's Dewalt this time around with Wasp Hornet. Theory's gone for Blink Hunter. Both players fast expanding. We should see a third base taken first here for Dewalt, but I want to approach this with an open mind. For the Tier 2 tech here for Theory, he does have mortars.
Yeah. And that is a switch up. So I feel like he's going to be trying to play a much slower game this time, just making sure that he can absolutely defend everything he's got. Because I think the first game kind of emphasized that win condition for Theory. He did very good when he could actually just bunker down, make sure his army was solid and not actually get broken, and then he can just go for some big death push. It doesn't matter that he was kind of behind in an economy for the rest of the game if he can just get an overall better army versus what his opponent has. And so mortars do allow you to go for that type of style. Having destroyers on the back end with them as well, making it so that King Crabs can't just run in and just kind of tank all the mortar shots, because then the King Crabs just get evaporated there. So I think this is a nice little adjustment from Theory. We'll see how he decides to play it.
So that third base has started. Workers are going to be populated at Dewalt's base earlier. And he's basically just doing Wasp harass. The easiest way to understand this is it's like dealing with Zerglings outside of your base. You know, you don't get exposed. Don't leave anything hanging out because they're going to get surrounded. They're going to get killed, and it's going to be death by 1,000 cuts here. Another counterattack in here. It's going to be a little bit more of a strain on the Blink player when the workers at the third base are there. There's not a real easy target to hit at the third, even when it's isolated. You can damage the structure, but Wasps just don't kill buildings fast, you know.
You have time to react a little bit. Like, you don't have to panic if you have just Wasps attacking a core. It's not really going to be that threatening for now, so you can play it a little bit slow. We do have the tech coming in as the Starforge, though, from Theory, so it's not going to be the mortar play this game. He's, going to be going back into the Mammoths on the ground, most likely, so he's going to try to play it exactly like the first game, actually, just playing it as same style of being very defensive, just instead of going for the mortars like I thought he was going to it is going to be with the Mammoths yet again.
Yeah, he's going to kind of match that tech here. They're both going to have butterflies. It's going to be Stinger versus Mammoth. I do believe Mammoths basically beat Stingers head-to-head here. So I think it's going to be a game where Dewalt's going to have to rely on kind of counterattacking, hitting different locations, and he's doing that. The Stingers are out. They are just as fast as the Wasps.
They are better at killing cores than the Wasps, so you have to be a little bit more careful with them. The huge Blink trying to get through everything here. He's going to be able to kill everything on the front end, but he loses the base as in exchange here, so it's going to be a little bit awkward for Theory. He needs to make sure that he at least gets this base from Dewalt, otherwise he's going to be in a really bad spot.
Gemini. Dewalt is teching to cat buses.
Oh, is that your favorite unit,
That's my favorite unit.
Oh, we got a cat above us as well. He's acting as a cat bus.
Cat in the cat tree. We got our own cat bus in this room.
The surround potentially. Okay, it's a little bit mistimed. He's not actually going in with the other side. He's getting baited by a couple of reinforcing units, but I think that's still okay because that was a Mammoth in there. So it's still a nice catch to have. But now his units are getting kind of streamlined in the Blink forward. But now the first cat bus is out, and we don't have any anti-air. He's going to be forced to target down the core and hopefully get it in time, but it's dying pretty quickly. The DPS of the Blink is not that high, but the DPS of the other units also not able to kill them in time. We'll trade out the entire army to be able to kill it off, and the cat buses will attempt to clean everything up. And now we're going to have a huge swell of Blink Hunters on the back end for Theory.
I think a cat bus is like 250 blue as well. That's really too bad he lost the natural. So I've been running this comp where I tech into cat buses later, and as long as I can keep 2 bases up, there's this funny thing where if you get like maybe 4 cat buses, and they don't have an overwhelming amount of anti-air, you can just camp there, and anything that spawns dies.
Yep.
But he only has 2 cat buses, which is like a critical mass. It's kind of like in StarCraft where like 2 carriers don't really do anything, but then 4 is actually a lot.
Yeah.
But he's going to go with a drive-by here.
Oh my god, the Blink forward tries to get something, but unable to do it. And I like the actual decision from Dewalt here to reinforce with Stingers. I think he's assuming his opponent is going to be overreacting with Blink Hunters to deal with the cat buses, so he goes for the Stingers on the other side as well. The Blink Under from some of the Blink Hunters will be able to get one of the cat buses, though, and this is thinning out pretty quickly for Dewalt. I think Theory will actually have a defense, assuming he can just get enough Blink Hunters out to be able to kill this, unfortunately, kind of... I don't know what he did right there.
I didn't see.
I think he's trying to save his workers actually by blinking under them to get the target fire.
Scare it away.
Yeah, he's forcing the target fire to go somewhere else, I think, and also potentially getting him, to run away. So
with the cat bus, it's really easy to micro. So as long as you don't just always move it in one control group, you can kind of like right-click it away, and it's really abusable. The thing is, I think that Theory can win this if he just hangs on.
Yeah, he's definitely in the favored position. He's got 2 bases set up. Even though he lost some of the workers here, it doesn't matter. It's still more than his opponent, and it's just 1 cat bus. We don't need to be moving our entire army to kill with the, cat bus, though.
He might need to expand here. Oh, he can actually target this down.
Yeah.
And then he's going to send the cat bus in.
Oh, the Blink, though, catching some of these Wasps. I mean, there's just so little for Dewalt, though. The 1 cat bus actually getting killed off. And that's a game 5.
It's a game 5,
oh boy.
Boys and girls. Wow. Great game. Yeah, I think you lose that second base, teching up into cat bus, and you're in trouble. It is interesting, though, when you have the Wasps out and the cat bus comes out, the Wasp, you cannot get away. You get surrounded. So everything gets wiped. Gosh, I wonder what kind of comp we're going to have Dewalt go for.
I mean, he's been sticking super hard on these wasps. I don't think he's going to change at this point, is he?
I don't think so.
He's won a couple games with them. I would love to see him switch just because I think that's the most interesting part about these games is seeing what adjustments they make in between.
Yeah.
So I would like to see him switch just because I want to see what's going on in his brain a little bit and try to figure it out. But
well, it's been about half and half as far as it working for him. You know, it's been. He's had some great successes as far as counterattacking, but he does seem to, right about on that third base position, kind of get into a spot where he overextends. He seems to think he's perceiving that he has the lead, and that's actually when he's throwing and the counterattack punishes him. So he's got the first part of the early game down pretty good, but when he gets to the mid game, he probably needs to just keep counterattacking and not try to close it out.
Yeah, I think he either thinks that he can't get the win, so he's kind of trying to force it, or it's just, he's misjudging it and just kind of on that little knife's edge where just a little bit more could have possibly pushed him over, but then it just isn't actually enough to secure the win. So we'll see what the adjustments are this game, as it's going to be gunbots again.
Wow, gunbots when everything's on the line.
I do like it. It did win in that. He won with that, right? One of the games? That was the second game he won, I think.
Was that the third game?
I don't even remember.
I don't know.
Caster short-term memory.
You know,
guys, we can't remember anything.
Unless
it's right in front of us, we don't know what's going on.
If I watch a tournament, I can tell you like everything that happened, but there's something about casting and how I'm trying to like say what's going on, and then I occasionally have some kind of short-term memory crisis.
Yeah.
But we know he went for this before, and he did look pretty good with it.
Yeah. He did go against Wasps last time, though. So this time it's going to be Blinks, so it's going to be a bit of a different matchup. So it's not going to be quite as easy for the Gunbot player to just jump on the opponent and just kind of out-micro them and whatnot, because the Blink player obviously still has the opportunity to disengage from the fight in a better way almost, and the same as kind of the Gunbots, where you can just kind of you can overclock and just run away basically.
Yeah, this is a very different looking matchup. Kind of goes to show you how many different types of games you can have in Battle Aces, right? This looks and feels so different than one guy darting around the map with wasps. Now, Gunbots are extremely good at pushing and kind of drawing the enemy into them and doing damage, but Blinks have this kind of unique advantage in that, they can fully pull away and avoid a lot of that. And then if they think they've got an overwhelming advantage, they can dive in. But I think over time, Gunbots probably grind you down a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say overall the Gunbot player has that potential just because of how much you can micro them and how fast they do get. So it really is not possible to jump on them unless their overclock is down. So if the Gunbot player is just kind of smart about when they're using their overclocks and never have one off cooldown, then yeah, they can do very good at just grinding you down. But it's going to be up to Theory to really defend this third base, and so he has time to get his mortars out, which he does have tech available now. He's going to try to get a couple of them out, and he's going to blink forward to really keep this base alive. He needs to keep it here, so that way it buys time for the mortars to come out to help defend. As those once those do get up, the Gunbots will get completely shut down. They have very little health.
Very scary moment there, and he's not just going to defend with the mortars. He's going to try to push. He then sees the Gunbots, baits out a stim, sets the mortar up, puts that up in siege mode, and from what I've experienced and from what other pros have told me, it does feel like oh my god, it does feel like 3 mortars is kind of the magic number. Like 3 mortars can do quite a bit. Interesting formation here, by the way, with those tanks. Couple of blinks down there to basically be ready for a counterattack. By the way, no counterattacking really this game here from Theory, which can be very strong versus Gunbots. The timing is set up here. Dewalt is going to dive in. He sees the shots from the mortars. And the mortars are positioned in a way where it's going to be very tough, especially with the destroyers up here in the front. This formation is really good.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about that other game, where if you try to get a big unit to just go and dive the mortars, if you just have the destroyers on the front line, it makes it so difficult. You saw Dewalt try to go for that huge concave to go in and just bust the opponent, but with the destroyers here, you really just can't do that. They complement the mortars so well here if you can actually get it set up. We have a huge counterattack getting set up on the right side. We have Blinks trying to anticipate a Dragonfly run by, in fact, but it's going to be the Gunbot mortar, and we're going to get surrounded a little bit.
Oh my god, he pulled the mortars away. I was going to say, I think the biggest weakness right now in the position, this would be about a minute ago for Theory, would be the fact that counterattacks could be so devastating. The attack is going to come in here. There's more reinforcements coming here from the side. The mortars are sieging up just now, and I don't know, Dewalt bled off quite a bit.
Yeah, I think he was assuming that his counter or his flank would kind of come in a little bit quicker to hopefully catch Theory off guard, but unfortunately it didn't quite make it there in time, and it allowed Theory to get his mortars repositioned, and now have them sieged up, making it very difficult, and it's also even pushing Dewalt further and further into his own base. If you can get past the halfway point as the mortar player, it gets extremely oppressive as the other player to actually deal anything against them, because it's just they set up and surround so much of the actual base.
Oh, cat bus time. Get your cat ears on. This is... Now, here's the thing. This is very similar to a PvT in StarCraft 1 where the Terran's just pushing. He kills off the third. Is there enough anti-air? He's actually diving in with, I think, everything, which is probably a mistake. I think he should probably just use the cat buses. The mortars, what is that, 5 mortars, I think? The Theory on the verge of winning this. Dewalt barely hanging on. The only, thing that Dewalt has is the cat buses, but he lost his natural. He's going to make another one. He's going to try to go around. He may try to just sack his natural, and he's going to have to probably just go right into the main. This is going to be a literal base race here.
I think this is a losing position, though, for Dewalt.
Yeah.
As you can see, he even realizes that he's running back home because he knows that his army is not big enough. The blink forward, getting a reinforcing cat bus is a terrible situation for Dewalt as well. Everything is bleeding out for him. He's trying to get back across the map, but he's catching reinforcements when the main army is just targeting down the core. I think this is a hopeless situation for Dewalt as the mortar's also doing an insane amount of damage here. It's going to be very difficult to jump on them.
I think you could just right-click on it, but, you got to be careful. Oh, my God. This should be game!
Boom. Wow. A nice series.
That was
I liked
great.
It. Yeah. I was expecting a little bit more dominance from Theory, but I like that Dewalt really put his own up there. Those are
that was
nice
very
series.
Cool. That was that was so good. So Dewalt put up a great fight. We definitely got to have him back. But Theory, this guy is a big name in Battle Aces. He's been playing a lot. He's in incredible shape. And those two guys brought us a whole bunch of very different, interesting games.
Yeah, I was excited to see just the switches between the different core units. I think that's the biggest switch that a lot of the players make is having the early game core unit interaction give them different tempo and whatnot. I think the tech units generally kind of stay the same, it seems like, as the early game is what gives a lot of momentum to allow them to get into those different tech units a bit differently.
Yeah. So Theory is going to be the first player moving on into the round of 4 here, where he'll be playing in best of 7s. I'm going to pull up our bracket here. I think it's this one here. So, as you guys can see, that was our first match. Theory does move on, winning 3-2 there versus Dewalt in a really cool back-and-forth fight. Coming up next, we're going to have Percival versus Vibe. Now, we're going to be running a short break here, guys.